My great-granddad brought my granddad to this particular farm in 1926 and remained here until 1969 when he retired. We've operated and owned the place since then. It's been a lot of history here. We farm 2,000 acres of production land, and we have about 9,500 acres of range land and about 300 and some cows altogether.
I grew up 7 miles from Jimmy, and I grew up on a farm. I was a tomboy, and I went with my dad, and then he taught me to drive a tractor. But I really don't enjoy it, so I'd prefer to take care of the cattle.
We started no-till in 1995. 5-6 years ago, we started in a new venture of soil health and cover crop systems here and started measuring water and how much we were using and infiltration rates. Costs started coming down, and in the past 7 years, our fuel costs went from $130,000 down to this year just shy of $20,000. And we're seeing that on the chemical and fertilizer side too. As them costs come down, of course, we get more profitable and more sustainable in this environment. The big thing about soil health, it works everywhere. You just have to manage your system for your precipitation in your atmosphere. What we found here is that we can manage in a 20-inch rainfall very well with cover crop systems and range management. Our big stride was made when we went to grazing our cover crops and putting cattle back on the production land. And that's when our soil really went to changing. This year, we're starting a new thing where we're going to do high stock density on our production land and now our range land.
What you do is you take electric fence and make a small part of the pasture, and then you hard graze that part of it, and then you move them to the next paddock. If you get your acres just about right, you'll move them every day. You force the cattle to graze it off by putting them in a smaller paddock, and then you move them out of it and rest that paddock, and it'll grow back up. That also confines the manure, and manure is great for the ground. It's the best fertilizer you can have for free.
Once we put the animals back on the production land in a very confined area, we saw our biology in the soil become alive and started producing more nutrients. So then we could lessen our inputs on synthetic fertilizer and chemicals. And that's really the ultimate goal, is to get to zero. We're halfway there. We've reduced down to 50% in the last six years. We hope in another 5 years we'll be at zero. Ginger and I started to irrigate 10 years ago. What we found out was we could only put a half inch of water on the soil at a time. As we started into soil health, now we're up to like 4 to 6 inches an hour is what we can take with no runoff. As our soils got better, we have more opportunity to grow more crops. So that has really started changing how we look at our production land and everything that's possible. And our goal is to have as high as 12 or 14 crops. More diversity spreads your risk out. We're not going to succeed every time, and we learn from them failures a lot of times. When you get into a soil health system and you're managing multiple crops, there is more management to it. And it's thinking what's down the road 1, 2, 3, 5 years ahead. So it's thinking in that far in advance is the real struggle, but it's also the fun part. For us to be recognized for the Leopold Award is very humbling. It's a great honor.
I think you couldn't have picked a better family to receive the first award in Oklahoma. They're truly deserving of an award where you award somebody for conservation and their stewardship of the land.
Ginger and I have been blessed with a few accolades over the past several years, but this is the greatest one that we could expect. To be successful, you need to surround yourself with very knowledgeable people. And I think we've been able to do that here, and I think that's why we've been able to do what we could as fast as we could.
We started sending some staff out here to start working with him and Ginger to see what they were interested in and see how we could help, and it just started blossoming from there. He has far surpassed some of our abilities in learning, more and more information, and we always heard things that couldn't work and why it wouldn't work, and Jimmy's been able to prove that it can work.
Well, I'm proud of Jimmy. He's come a long ways for just an old country boy with a high school education. I'm glad he's thinking outside the box. The old way's just not working anymore. I can just see that it's the right thing to do.
Conservation and land stewardship is a change of lifestyle for us, and our change here on the farm has really stretched us to new thoughts of how we get that accomplished.